In my opinion, the way that like someone can choose is that we say what is like the best description of this power. Because sometimes people will describe a creator and they will give them some attributes, some weak attributes.
Right.
Like within someone something that can be broken.
Okay.
Okay?
Yes.
Which cannot be God, because God is something great. He created everything, so it cannot be broken.
Right.
So I think it's through the mind thinking. Okay, so when you compare, for example, between religions, see what is the most religion that describes God in the best way.
Do you agree? God has to have perfect attributes.
The most perfect description of God on earth will be the best so far.
I don't know. You know what? I gotta think about that. I have to think about that.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to say yes, but I'm not totally. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
if it's an overall power and a life force. And
because they should be perfect, so it's easier for me because it's easier for me to be biased, right?
Right. Yeah.
So the best way that I can advise myself, is just compare and look what is the perfect description that touches your heart.
Right. And I can't find one. I can't.
But is there a way of doing that though?
Yeah.
You see, if you think about this universe, the universe shows three essential properties to us: limited, finite, and dependent. It's contingent on something that has to be absolute, independent. Has to be, because you cannot have this existence resting on something that is dependent, something that is So it has to be contingent, or it has to depend on something that is absolute. So that's why when you look at the power that you're thinking of about this universe, the creator of this universe, has to be something that is absolute and having no cause of its own existence, has to be eternally existing, always existing.
Right.
Anything that eternally exists has to be absolute by its nature, not dependent.
Yep, I believe all what you're saying.
So that means then, if this creator has certain attributes, as he mentioned the word attributes, or characteristics, or properties, they will be perfect. They will not have any limitations.
Okay.
Because limitation is a weakness.
Cannot be harmed, cannot be broken.
No, not like this. For example, say power. The power of the creator will be totally unbound. It will not be limited.
Yeah.
The knowledge, if the creator has any knowledge, it will not be a limited knowledge. It will be absolute knowledge. So if you were to think about these descriptions, in one sense you can say the descriptions have to be perfect. The words that we use, perfect attributes. That's what we'd expect even without going into any scripture, any book. So a religion from this creator, a way of life or a guidance from this creator must reflect him, or him not being a male, of course.
So why can't I just believe in that?
Right.
But I don't believe in a specific religion.
But how do we then, you see, just because saying, okay, I believe the creator is
perfect
one and perfect.
Yeah.
If you look at it, the creator has created us for a reason. Did not create all of this. You see what happens?
No, of course. There's meaning
so
behind it all.
How would we, as a finite individual within this cosmos, work out the reason of our creation?
But maybe we're never going to.
Unless the creator tells us what the reason is. And that's why it is important to ascertain where is this guidance from God, which gives us this absolute
one.
So
the Bible says the same
it's
thing.
easy.
Say the same
Just
thing.
to show you, brother, 1 second. This is the book about which there is no doubt a guidance. Those conscious of Allah. Allah is the God, right?
Okay, but someone or
that means
a whole bunch of people wrote this, just like a whole bunch of people wrote
brother, everyone can say that about
I want to give a comparison if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'll tell you something, When you say it like, when you say that you don't believe in that creator, but why you should have follow one because as we believe that God is perfect, in one of his perfection attributes, he cannot leave us on this earth without Yeah, without any answer for our questions. And one, for example, one of the God attributes, he's the guider.
Right.
He's the guider.
Okay.
Okay. So in order like to guide people, you should reveal something to them for them to be guided, right? Okay. I don't know if you agree with that.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
See, I'm stuck there.
Yeah.
Right? I get stuck there because why is that necessary?
I'll tell you, because sometimes when you think about something, sometimes the attributes of that thing will answer the actions. Okay. So for example, when I say, I'll give you an example. So when you say a lion, for example, because a lion is wild, he will act in a certain way. Okay, so this is an attribute that makes him act in a certain way, right?
Right, okay.
So God is perfect, as we both agree, and He has the perfect attributes.
Yeah.
Okay, and one of them, that He created us, right?
Yeah.
He's the creator.
Somehow, yeah. I don't believe in creationism. I don't think someone like all of a sudden we were formed, but yes, somehow it had to start somewhere.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah, like the order came from Him, but I agree with you that there are some practical reasons that lead to. Yeah, I agree. Okay. So one of his perfection, for example, you as a mother, can you leave your son alone without any guidance? Why?
Right.
Because motherhood is a perfect attribute that's in you, in a mother. Okay.
Okay.
So God should be greater than you as a mother. Who's greater? There is a God.
Yeah.
He or she. It depends on the language. If we say he, it doesn't mean that he's he.
No, I know.
Because it's a matter of language,
Yes.
So God is greater than me, than a father, than a mother. So He shouldn't live His creation alone, as human beings.
Right.
So He should have put for us some directions. And this is the question of that research, that everyone has to search about it,
Right.
So you have, for example, it's easy for me to say follow this book.
Right.
Okay, this is but the thing that I can say is compare between the things and choose the best and perfect way or religion that describes God in a perfect way.
But it's even that why do I need?
So let's address that point then.
Yeah.
Why do you even need?
Why do I need that? Now, because if I believe in all I believe you can be a good person, and I brought up my children. I have 3 sons. They are really good people.
Definitely.
They are, and I'm not just saying this, I know I'm a mother, right? But they're good people, they're respectful, they're industrious, and the whole thing is my husband and I, our values and what is important in life. It's not about money, it's about being a good person, it's helping others, all that kind of stuff. As I said, my background is Christian. I'm culturally Christian. We celebrate Christmas, but Christmas to us is all our family, big family, getting together, right? It's about being grateful, and we're Canadian, right? We celebrate Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is not denominational, but it's about taking the time to really be thankful for what you have and all that kind of stuff. I get stuck because I just get stuck. Why?
This is where we can share the Islamic perspective.
Okay, as an aside, I have to tell you, this is so interesting. We just came here because I said you have to know what Speakerscorner is, but it's only on Sundays.
Sure. Anyway, to give you the Islamic perspective, if you allow me, brother.
We have to leave, but anyway.
Yeah, sure. You see, as you realize, if God is perfect in His attributes, He's just, He's merciful, He's kind.
Right.
These attributes itself will reflect that the creation that He creates, He's not going to leave them abandoned, as you use the word abandoned.
Right.
So one of the words God uses for Himself is called Rabb. Rabb, or the Lord in English, the Arabic word means someone who creates, nourishes, cherishes, and guides.
Yeah.
So God did not just create us, but He guides us to why He created us. Because otherwise, imagine I make a phone. It does everything that you want today as a smartphone. And I have no reason for making it. You would say, no, you've made it to record voice, record video, to have a chat, to talk to people, to write on it. So there's different reasons. You might as well give a manual with it, yeah? Isn't it?
Right.
Human beings are very complex human beings in our makeup, social makeup, in our intellectual makeup, in our makeup of the psyche. We need that guidance, why we are here, why we are created. What's the purpose?
Yeah.
So this is what the Creator actually indeed gives us the reason in the guidance that He sends. So the reason why some people obviously are confused, because there are various books around, each claiming different things.
Right.
One thing we need to do is set aside certain principle to use to direct our question for the right answer. One of the things we said, okay, start with one, fine. I need to be as much as unbiased as possible to find the answer. Secondly, I need to look at this objectively rather than my subjective experience. Thirdly, when I look into it, I'm going to have certain criteria in mind to check this guidance, whether it's streamed from God from not. If this book says, you know what, God lies and He cheats, you will say, that is not a good description or attribute of a God. Or God, He doesn't remember what happened, He doesn't know. You will say, no, God is all knowledgeable. So there are certain things you can set up and say, criteria about God, as I know already, He has to be one. So if a book says there's a 2 God, or 3 God, or 5 God, you would know certainly that's the religion, the guidance that it claims cannot be true. Because there can be only one absolute.
Says the same things,
Okay,
right?
so let's talk about the Bible briefly then.
And I'm not a scholar, I do not know.
Let me give you
But they all say,
3 examples about the Bible.
my way is the way.
Okay.
So if you're Jewish, they're the chosen people.
I want to
If
share
you're
with you,
Christian,
brother, I want to share with you
it's Jesus.
two examples from the Bible, just to tell you how to assess the Bible, even if you're not a religious Bible believer. In the Bible, we'll talk about the Old Testament first. It says, at one time God flooded the whole world, right, and saved certain individuals.
This is metaphorical.
No,
this is not real.
Let's take the statements as it says. After the flood, God makes a covenant. The biblical God makes a covenant with Noah, the prophet.
Yep.
He says, as a sign of my covenant, I'm going to put a rainbow in the sky. And every time I am God and about to destroy mankind again, when I look at the cloud and I see the rainbow, it will remind me of the covenant that I made. Remind who? Me, God. So if you read that statement in Genesis, God says the reason the rainbow is up in the sky is to be, what reason? The rainbow to remind God when He looks at it. It tells you the people who wrote this book obviously didn't have a good concept of a God, that God is all knowledgeable and that God doesn't forget.
But it's a story.
No.
It's a
Okay.
metaphorical.
So any book which gives you a story about God forgetting and needing to remind by a rainbow, you will have to set aside, say, that cannot be directly from this God.
See, and I think that's too narrow a way to judge it. I do. I think that's too
Why
narrow
would you
to
say
judge.
this could be from God? Why would you say it's a possible?
Because this is not written by God. This is written by people over time.
That means
many
people-
different people. Not this, the Bible, whatever, right? Over time, and they're stories, they're metaphors. Was there an Adam and Eve?
That's why
in
the
Garden
guidance
of
cannot be
Eden?
found
No.
properly then.
No, but you're not supposed to take it literally, because I'm sure.
Sure.
I don't know what's in here in detail. But there's things that people, fanatics, will take and say, this is what the Quran says. So I'm going to follow this. And really,
Let's take the comparison.
they're taking bits and pieces. Again, it's a story. Listen, when I say this, it's not because I don't believe the Bible is any more than I believe this is. I just don't believe any of them
to
are.
both of you, sorry, brother.
We are in so much trouble, by the way.
Yeah.
With
Just
my
no.
mother.
If we have 2 books,
She's waiting for us.
if we have 2 books,
She's
the Quran.
an 84-year-old woman waiting for us.
You shouldn't,
Like,
you shouldn't, you
where are
shouldn't,
they?
you shouldn't wait too long then. If you have the Quran and if you have the Bible, which you consider to be the works written by men with stories and so on, and you have the Quran, direct speech of God, directly sent.
How do we know?
No, no.
How do you know?
No, no. If the Quran claims so, and it describes God
Yeah.
with the perfection that you know, and you would agree with your heart and your mind, out of these two, why would you consider that book, which you know for sure is embellishment with
How do you
stories
know
by
for
man?
sure?
But then someone else could come along and write a book and make God perfect. And why wouldn't it be
I just want to look at it.
that person? Yeah, this is the Quran in
Because I want to give it to you.
Oh no,
Do you
you're
accept?
very No, you don't have to.
No, please. Because
I have another one.
No, because I brought it for this purpose. If anyone wants
Really?
to. Yeah.
Oh, that's such a gift.
Yeah,
That's lovely.
Yeah, this is an English translation of the Quran.
Yeah, that's the only way I can read it.
Yeah.
But thank you. That's very kind. No. He is my son.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know. So
This is
You have a
okay,
very
you know
intelligent
what?
mother.
you know, so just in a brief,
Yeah.
when you say why not the Bible, why not the Quran, this is an answer that everyone has to answer.
Yes.
How? Because you have a perfection like of God in your mind
Yeah.
and in your heart. Just compare and
Yeah.
see which one like touches your heart.
Well, you know what? You've made me think. Like,
Yeah.
that's exactly what this is
Yeah,
for, right?
and the question that you stuck in, you say why we have to follow, because since there is a reason
Yeah.
behind our creation, there is a message also.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so if you want to know like the message of any religion,
Yeah.
study this book.
I
Okay.
think that it's
I think there
finding.
is. It's-
I think
but
that
it's-
if you find the meaning of what's important to you, that's what matters. I don't think that there's only one right way. I think that.
Well, this is what I'm trying
No,
to
I
say.
know,
but-
and I know that
And I can't.
you were
it's
saying
like,
that you shouldn't be picking
know,
things,
Yes, I
except.
could.
Can there be more than one right here? Can there be?
Yes.
This is what we were saying that it cannot be.
And that's the thing.
And do you think you can?
Yes, I do. And I just, but I just can't. It's like if I believe in something like this, it feels like I'm tricking myself. I'm just fooling myself, believing something because I just chose one way, and I just can't do it.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. If you can allow me to advise you,
Yeah.
just read and then judge.
Yeah, read. I know. I have to read.
Yeah.
And I think that I can speak for both of us when I say it's. We both think that each person can believe what they want to believe, and that is amazing. And if they have a passion for it, that's incredible. But I think that if someone else from another religion has that same passion, it's just as equally okay. And everyone should just, everyone should just be able to respect that each person.
Of course, like if for example, if I believe that someone is wrong, for example.
Someone is
Wrong.
wrong. Okay.
Yeah, this doesn't mean that I am looking at some list, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
No, like
Well,
we
that-
can
I respect
disagree,
that.
and
exactly,
and you.
As long as we could,
Yeah.
as long as we could say that and acknowledge that we're not thinking poorly, then I am very.
And you're not just saying you should believe. You're saying this is why. Like you're giving evidence why, according to you,
yeah. So
that.
I think that's important
good.
because it's not just telling us. If we believe it, I think that that's a different thing than being told. If I genuinely feel and believe that this is correct, I will live by that. But I can't be told by someone that it's correct.
I'll tell you something. Do you know what is the first verses revealed ever in the Quran? Let's read.
Is what? Sorry.
The first verse revealed in the Quran is read.
Recite,
Oh,
proclaim.
read. Yeah. Okay. I
Not
do know
not
that.
believe,
No,
not
this
believe.
is
but
the key.
So read. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe I'll come back next
Just,
year
yeah, very good.
because,
On your
uh,
point
you
about
know-
many ways,
and come and talk.
our Prophet ﷺ said he actually drew on the sand various lines, right? A straight line and various other lines. There are many crooked lines. The straight line is the line that you should take, that will take to God. So that's why the Quran, just to show you here, the chapter that
Sorry for
gives
delaying
us.
you from your mom. Huh?
Oh,
There's a-
no,
so
listen,
the last
he-
few
no,
seconds.
that's very
Look.
good. He
Actually,
wanted-
I'm not a resident here. I'm a tourist.
Guide us to the
Where are you
Straight
from?
path.
I'm from
straight
But I
path.
don't think that it should
Because
be.
every other
I used to be a
path,
student here.
crooked
Oh,
path
I
would not
graduated,
take you
now I
to
came for a
God.
visit.
For example, a
Yeah,
path
we're
which
just
says
here
God
for
is a
I'm from
monkey,
America.
From Toronto.
another
Canada.
part says whoever says God is a monkey is going to go to hell. Can this both be
Nice
true?
to meet you too.
Well, sorry. Can you say that again?
If a path, for example, as you know, as a Christian,
No, we're not Christian.
no, sorry, no, culturally,
Okay.
culturally,
Yes.
that the Bible says, for example, God has a son, yeah, and Islam says whoever says God has a son, it's like the heavens and the earth is to split asunder and be destroyed. That's how grievous this ascription is to God, that God has a son.
But we don't believe God.
No, I'm not saying you do. No. The point I'm making is, so if Islam considers ascribing a son to God is a very grievous thing, that's one way. And another way saying, yeah, you can say God has a son and you can worship him like that. The two ways are mutually contradictory, and you cannot say it's okay to choose any way to go to God.
But I think that on the topic of picking certain things, that's just picking two things that directly contradict each other. I think that you could
pick two other things.
You could pick two other things that directly contradict each other. I think that
people departed away from this straight path, and that's why you have different religions. So Islam is not like a new religion. It is the one and only the same religion all the prophets and messengers brought, and people deviated from this path. And what Islam is saying, return to the path of Abraham, which God was favored him of this, beautiful millah.
But you know what, we get stuck at the part of you saying that God is the only one God. I get stuck there because why?
Can there be more than one God? Is it possible?
There could be any.
There could be, because
there
it's
might not
such
even
a
be a
mystery.
Okay,
Our
so
brains can't even
let's
understand
really discuss
that.
this.
Oh my God, we are.
Can there be more than one absolute?
Because the Quran itself questions the same question.
No, except there's not. But God is not absolute. It's not for.
How can God not be absolute?
How can it be absolute?
Okay. If this universe was created, can it be created by anything other than absolute?
You have two kings.
Ultimately, our existence must be dependent and contingent upon an absolute being. Has to be. Something that has no beginning, something that has no cause prior to it, something that has no dependency on anything prior to it. Has to be. That's what we mean by absolute.
Okay, but where did God come from? How did
the question of where did God come from is a meaningless question. Why? Because if something exists now, there has to be always something.
Something before, yeah.
If something,
it's like the chicken or the egg.
No,
yeah.
You are the proof that there is always something in existence. Something always. So the question about who brought God into existence doesn't apply. Why? There has to be something always. Whether there's a chain of creators or ultimately there's one creator.
Then how do you know that something didn't come before your God? And because you said that it's the straight path and people...
No. Talk about one God who was created by another God. Ultimately, there has to be a God that has no God before that.
So why is it yours?
The God that Islam provides as the guidance to you is the one and only God who is absolute. That can be the only God, which is the first.
But that's what's hard for me to believe. I don't understand why it has to be your God. Why
when you say your God, there can only be one absolute God.
No.
I don't think. Why does there even have to be a God? Why can't we just all live our lives without having...
Can there be more than one absolute God is the question. Think about it, because you have to go and go. Can they... Have a look.
We here all day. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you. Take care. Thank you. You want to shake hands?